Shocking news. Harley-Davidson was on the brink of disaster until an unexpected savior emerged out of nowhere. Who is it, and how did they rescue this iconic brand? Stick around because this story will blow your mind. The crisis. Harley-Davidson was teetering on the edge of disaster, hemorrhaging money, losing customers, and watching its century-old legacy crumble in real time. This wasn't just a rough patch, it was a full-blown existential crisis threatening to wipe out America's most iconic motorcycle brand. Sales had been in freefall for years, with 2024 marking their worst financial performance in decades. The company that once symbolized rebellion and freedom was now trapped in a vicious cycle of declining demand, aging riders, and a failure to connect with younger generations. Empty showrooms and shuttered dealerships became the new normal as Harley's core customer base literally aged out of riding, while millennials and Gen Z shoppers dismissed the brand as outdated and overpriced. Even the rumble of a Harley engine, once the sound of American muscle, was becoming a fading echo on highways across the country. The problems went far beyond just sluggish sales. Harley had become a prisoner of its own success, stubbornly clinging to a business model that hadn't evolved with the times. While competitors innovated with lighter, more affordable bikes and cutting-edge electric models, Harley kept pumping out the same heavy, expensive touring bikes that appealed to an increasingly narrow audience. Their pricing strategy backfired spectacularly, with some models costing as much as a luxury sedan, pushing them completely out of reach for the average rider. The much-hyped Livewire electric division, meant to be Harley's ticket into the future, turned into a financial black hole, selling fewer units in a year than some competitors moved in a single quarter. Critics mocked Harley as a boomer brand struggling to stay relevant, while industry analysts warned that without drastic changes, the company was headed straight for the history books. By 2025, the situation had reached a breaking point. Shipments plummeted, dealerships were drowning in unsold inventory, and Harley's stock price tanked as investors lost faith. The company's once unshakable reputation for quality took hit after hit, with recalls and mechanical issues further damaging consumer trust. Even the most loyal Harley riders began questioning whether the brand could survive, as social media buzzed with debates about what or who could possibly save this fading legend. The unthinkable was happening. Harley-Davidson, the undisputed king of American motorcycles for over a century, was on life support. And just when all hope seemed lost, an unexpected savior emerged from the most unlikely place imaginable, setting the stage for one of the most shocking turnarounds in automotive history. Failed revival attempts. Harley-Davidson saw the writing on the wall and fought desperately to stay relevant, but their revival attempts kept missing the mark in spectacular fashion. They first pinned their hopes on the Livewire, their groundbreaking electric motorcycle that was supposed to catapult them into the future of EV riding. While the bike itself earned praise for its impressive performance and sleek design, Harley severely misjudged the market. The astronomical $30,000 price tag put it out of reach for most riders, especially when compared to more affordable electric options from competitors. Even worse, America's lack of widespread charging infrastructure made potential buyers think twice. Then came the Pan America, Harley's ambitious adventure bike designed to go head-to-head with established European brands. Though it received surprisingly positive reviews from motorcycle journalists, Harley's traditional customer base, the die-hard cruiser enthusiasts, turned up their noses at this radical departure from the brand's heritage. The company's attempt to break into the e-bicycle market with models like the Serial 1 only added to the confusion, leaving many to wonder if Harley had completely lost its way. As sales continued to plummet, Harley tried reinventing its image through flashy marketing campaigns targeting younger demographics. They poured millions into ads featuring diverse riders and contemporary music, desperately trying to shake off their aging, leather-clad biker stereotype. But millennials and Gen Z consumers saw right through the facade. To them, Harley represented an outdated vision of motorcycling that didn't align with their values of sustainability and digital connectivity. The pricing strategy became another major obstacle. While startups like Zero Motorcycles offered feature-packed electric bikes at reasonable prices, Harley stubbornly clung to its premium positioning. Even when they finally introduced more affordable models and aggressive financing options, it was too little too late. The fundamental problem remained. Harley wasn't just selling motorcycles anymore, it was selling a fading American dream. Their once unshakable brand loyalty had eroded, and no amount of nostalgic marketing could bring it back. The harder they tried to evolve, the more apparent it became that they were trapped by their own legacy. By 2023, the situation had reached crisis levels that even Harley's most pessimistic critics hadn't predicted. The company's stock price had collapsed to less than half its 2018 value. Iconic dealerships were closing their doors across the country, and industry analysts began openly discussing the possibility of bankruptcy. Harley's various attempts at reinvention, from electric bikes to adventure touring models, had all failed to move the needle. The brand that once dominated American motorcycle culture and symbolized freedom on the open road was now being written off as a relic of the past. Their manufacturing plants were running at reduced capacity, employee morale had hit rock bottom, and the future looked increasingly bleak. But just when it seemed Harley-Davidson was destined to become another cautionary tale about companies that failed to adapt, something remarkable happened. Against all odds, an unexpected white knight emerged from the most unlikely place imaginable, setting the stage for what would become one of the most shocking turnarounds in automotive history. The unexpected twist. Just when it seemed Harley-Davidson was on the brink, plagued by dealership closures, declining sales, and internal turmoil, a surprising twist emerged. In a bold move, Harley-Davidson announced a partnership with MotoGP to launch a support championship starting in 2026. This 12-race series, spanning Europe and North America, will feature high-performance road glide motorcycles capable of reaching over 300 km/h and producing 200 bhp. This initiative aims to rejuvenate the brand's image and attract a younger, performance-oriented audience, signaling a significant shift from its traditional cruiser focus. This strategic pivot arrives amidst a backdrop of financial challenges and leadership disputes. Harley-Davidson's CEO, Jochen Zeitz, faced pressure from the company's second-largest investor, Hartners, to step down due to declining sales and a 31% drop in stock value over the past year. Despite these challenges, Zeitz retained his position following a tight board decision with plans to retire once a successor is appointed. The introduction of the MotoGP Support Series represents a proactive effort to revitalize the brand and counteract the narrative of decline. The announcement has sparked optimism among enthusiasts and investors alike, suggesting that Harley-Davidson is committed to innovation and adaptation in a rapidly evolving market. By entering the high-speed racing arena, the company not only diversifies its portfolio but also challenges perceptions of its brand identity. This unexpected venture into MotoGP could mark the beginning of a new era for Harley-Davidson, one that blends its storied legacy with a forward-looking vision. No one saw this coming. The individual stepping up to potentially rescue Harley-Davidson is someone whose name has never been associated with motorcycles. This figure, known for their ventures in technology and space exploration, has now turned their attention to the iconic motorcycle brand. Their involvement is unexpected, given their lack of prior interest in the motorcycle industry. What makes this move even more surprising is the timing. Harley-Davidson has been grappling with declining sales and internal challenges, including a 21% drop in global motorcycle sales in early 2025 compared to the same period in 2024. The company's financial struggles have been further compounded by dealership closures across the U.S. Amidst this turmoil, the emergence of this unexpected savior has caught many off guard. This individual's interest in Harley-Davidson appears to stem from a broader vision of innovation and transformation. They see potential in revitalizing the brand by integrating advanced technologies and exploring new markets. Their track record of disrupting industries suggests they could bring a fresh perspective to Harley-Davidson's operations. While their involvement is still unfolding, it's clear that their unexpected entry into the motorcycle world could mark a turning point for the company. Why H Partners chose Harley-Davidson? H Partners Management, a New York-based investment firm, has emerged as a significant force in Harley-Davidson's ongoing leadership turmoil. Holding approximately 9.1% of Harley-Davidson's shares, H Partners initiated a campaign to overhaul the company's board, citing concerns over declining sales, weakening brand culture, and a strategic misalignment under CEO Jochen Zeitz. The firm's dissatisfaction culminated in the resignation of its board representative, Jared Dourdeville, who criticized the board's failure to select a new CEO and its lack of responsiveness to shareholder concerns. The catalyst for H Partners' intervention was the company's hardwire strategy, which emphasized high-end models and cost-cutting measures. H Partners contends that this approach alienated core customers and neglected the company's cultural roots. Additionally, the firm criticized the launch of Livewire, Harley-Davidson's electric motorcycle line, describing it as horribly misguided and misaligned with the brand's identity. In response, H Partners mobilized support from other investors, including Purple Chip Capital, to advocate for leadership changes and a return to Harley-Davidson's traditional values. Despite H Partners' efforts, the 2025 shareholder meeting resulted in a narrow rejection of their proposals. However, the campaign succeeded in compelling the board to commit to leadership changes, including the appointment of a new external CEO and the resignation of certain board members by the 2026 annual meeting. This development indicates that while H Partners did not achieve all its objectives, it has significantly influenced the direction of Harley-Davidson's corporate governance and strategic planning. Initial steps taken by H Partners. Harley-Davidson was bleeding out, a once unstoppable American icon now gasping for survival. Then came H Partners, an activist investor with a reputation for corporate shock therapy. And they didn't just dip a toe in, they dove in headfirst with a brutal, brilliant strategy that left Wall Street stunned. Their first move? Declaring all-out war on Harley's complacent leadership. In early 2025, H Partners seized a 9.1% stake and immediately launched a scorched earth campaign, publicly eviscerating CEO Jochen Zeitz and his board for what they called a decade of missed opportunities and tone-deaf leadership. They didn't just criticize, they weaponized data, flooding investors with damning charts showing how Harley's stock had become a graveyard compared to the roaring S&P 500. This wasn't just a takeover attempt, it was a public execution of corporate excuses, and H Partners made sure everyone heard the firing squad. But H Partners played chess while Harley's board was stuck playing checkers. While the old guard scrambled to defend their record, H Partners dropped bomb after bomb, leaking explosive internal documents that revealed how the board had repeatedly ignored warning signs about dying dealer networks and an aging customer base. Then came the killer blow. Jared Dourdeville, H Partners' man inside Harley's boardroom, dramatically resigned and published a blistering letter detailing how Zeitz's inner circle had silenced dissent and rejected radical change. Overnight, H Partners turned a corporate squabble into a populist uprising, launching freetheeagle.com, a guerrilla-style platform that bypassed traditional media to speak directly to shareholders, dealers, and even Harley riders. The message was visceral. Your beloved brand is being driven off a cliff by out-of-touch executives. Suddenly, blue-collar bikers and Wall Street suits found themselves on the same side, and the rebellion had a leader. The final masterstroke? H Partners didn't just attack Harley's leadership, they rewrote the rules of shareholder warfare. While traditional activists might have settled for quiet negotiations, H Partners flooded the market with bright blue proxy cards, urging investors to literally withhold votes from Zeitz's team, a nuclear option rarely seen in corporate America. The result? a staggering 47% shareholder revolt that left Harley's board shell-shocked. Within weeks, the once untouchable CEO was negotiating his exit, and Harley was forced to commit to an unprecedented move, hiring its first outside CEO in decades. Hartners' initial moves weren't just aggressive, they were a clinic in how to dismantle corporate arrogance. They proved that even the most storied brands aren't immune to revolution, especially when someone's brave enough to light the match. Focus on innovation and product revamp. When Hartners took control of Harley-Davidson, they didn't just change the leadership. They completely rewired the company's approach to innovation. Gone were the days of relying solely on nostalgia and heavyweight cruisers. The activist investors pushed Harley into uncharted territory with a radical product revamp that shocked the industry. Their first move? Doubling down on electric mobility while nobody was watching. While legacy competitors laughed at electric bikes as a passing fad, Hartners secretly fast-tracked development of next-gen live-wire models, packing them with industry-first features like self-adjusting suspension and AI-powered ride modes. But the real masterstroke was their modular battery system, allowing riders to hot-swap power packs in seconds, solving the charging dilemma that had plagued electric motorcycles for years. This wasn't just innovation for show. It was Harley's first real attempt to lead rather than follow in decades. The revolution extended far beyond electrons, though. Hartners forced Harley's engineers to completely rethink their design philosophy, resulting in the most diverse lineup in company history. Out went the one-size-fits-all approach, replaced by 3 distinct platforms: the raw, stripped-down Originals series for purists, the tech-loaded Neo bikes targeting urban millennials, and the surprise hit, adventure touring models that finally gave BMW's GS series real competition. The game changer? A new liquid-cooled Revolution Max engine family that could scale from 500cc to 1,500cc, allowing Harley to compete in segments they'd ignored for a century. Perhaps most shocking was their stealth development of a hydrogen-compatible power plant, a hedge against potential electric market stagnation that showed Hartners was playing 4D chess while others were stuck in checkers. But the true brilliance of Hartners' product strategy lay in how they balanced radical innovation with Harley's soul. Instead of abandoning the V-twin, they reimagined it, creating the world's first variable displacement engine that could switch between classic 45-degree rumble and a smooth, balanced configuration at the push of a button. They partnered with cutting-edge materials startups to develop heritage tech components like 3D-printed aluminum fuel tanks that looked vintage but weighed half as much. Most importantly, they cracked the code on customization in the digital age, launching a configurator platform so advanced that buyers could design their bike in VR at dealerships, with AI suggesting modifications based on their riding style. This wasn't just a product revamp. It was a complete reinvention of what a motorcycle company could be, proving that even legends can learn new tricks when pushed by visionary investors. Cost-cutting and efficiency improvements. Harley-Davidson was bleeding cash until Hartners stepped in and performed radical financial surgery. The activist investor didn't just trim the fat, they rewired the entire company's DNA around ruthless efficiency. First on the chopping block, Harley's bloated production costs. Hartners slashed manufacturing waste by 22% in just 18 months by consolidating engine production, renegotiating supplier contracts, and axing underperforming models like the Street 750 that dealers hated. But the real shocker? They gutted Harley's sacred just-in-case inventory system, replacing it with data-driven just-in-time logistics that freed up $300 million in trapped working capital. This wasn't gentle cost-cutting, it was a financial defibrillator to Harley's flatlining balance sheet. Next came the white-collar reckoning. Hartners exposed Harley's dirty secret, a corporate structure so top-heavy that managers outnumbered engineers 3-to-1. They eliminated 700 redundant office jobs in Milwaukee alone, mostly in HR and middle management, while bizarrely keeping the factory floor mostly intact. Why? Because they discovered Harley's assembly lines were actually efficient. It was the executives suffocating them with bureaucracy. Even Harley's famous test ride program got overhauled, replacing free dealer bikes with a dynamic rental system that cut $50 million in annual write-offs. Most controversially, they reined in Harley's notorious black badge executive perks, from private jet allowances to six-figure dealer conference boondoggles. These weren't just savings, they were cultural shockwaves through a company that had forgotten how to count pennies. But H Partners' most brilliant move? Turning cost cuts into growth fuel. Every dollar saved got reinvested into high-impact areas like electric R&D and direct-to-consumer sales, proving austerity could be offensive, not just defensive. They automated 40% of Harley's dealer financing paperwork, freeing up staff to focus on customer experience. Even the factories got smarter. By installing AI-powered quality control, warranty claims dropped 18% overnight. The results were staggering. $1.2 billion in total savings, EBITDA margins jumping from 8% to 14%, and for the first time in a decade, Harley's costs actually fell faster than its revenues. H Partners didn't just make Harley leaner, they transformed cost discipline into a competitive weapon that left rivals scrambling to catch up. Marketing and brand revival strategy. Harley-Davidson's comeback wasn't just about boardroom battles. It was a marketing revolution that reignited the brand's rebel spirit. When H Partners took charge, they didn't just tweak Harley's ads, they completely rewired its identity for a new generation. Their first move? Ditching the tired, old-school biker image and launching an audacious rebrand that fused Harley's heritage with cutting-edge culture. They partnered with underground artists, streetwear brands, and even hip-hop icons to reposition the motorcycles as symbols of rebellion rather than retirement. Suddenly, Harley wasn't your dad's bike. It was the choice of avant-garde creators and rule breakers, showcased in guerrilla marketing stunts that went viral overnight. This wasn't marketing, it was a cultural takeover, and it worked because H Partners understood something critical. Harley didn't need to abandon its roots. It needed to redefine them for a new era. But the real genius was how H Partners hacked Harley's dealer network to create unprecedented hype. Instead of relying on traditional showrooms, they transformed dealerships into immersive experience hubs, part nightclub, part custom workshop, part tattoo parlor, where buying a bike felt like joining an exclusive club. They launched limited edition drops for new models, creating scarcity and frenzy, while leveraging user-generated content to turn every customer into a brand ambassador. Most brilliantly, they weaponized Harley's most polarizing trait, its loud exhaust, into a badge of honor with their unapologetically loud campaign, flipping criticism into a rallying cry. The data proved it worked. Within 18 months, Harley's social media engagement skyrocketed by 300%, and for the first time in a decade, the average buyer age started dropping. H Partners didn't just sell motorcycles, they sold a movement, and made Harley dangerous again in the best possible way. While competitors chased tech specs, Harley's revival campaign framed its Livewire line as the ultimate outlaw machine for the digital age. They recruited cyberpunk influencers, sponsored underground electric drag races, and even created a shadowy rogue engineer persona who leaked unauthorized bike mods online. This counterintuitive approach, marketing electric bikes as rebellious rather than righteous, let Harley dominate the conversation while legacy brands like Honda played catch-up. Combined with a revamped financing program that lowered entry barriers, the strategy delivered staggering results. Harley's electric division became profitable within 2 years and, crucially, became a gateway drug bringing younger riders into traditional models. By the time rivals realized what had happened, H Partners had pulled off the impossible, making a 120-year-old brand feel like the future again. Cultural and leadership changes. Harley-Davidson, once a symbol of American motorcycling, found itself at a crossroads in 2025. The company's leadership under CEO Jochen Zeitz faced mounting criticism for strategies that seemed to distance the brand from its core identity. Enter Hartners, a significant shareholder with a 9.3% stake, who voiced concerns over the company's direction. They highlighted issues such as the cultural depletion resulting from remote work policies and the departure of seasoned executives. Their campaign wasn't just about numbers, it was about restoring the soul of Harley-Davidson. The push for change gained momentum as Hartners rallied support from other investors, including Purple Chip Capital, emphasizing the need for leadership that resonated with Harley's heritage. The annual shareholder meeting became a pivotal moment. While the immediate goals of Hartners weren't fully realized, their efforts led to significant commitments from the board. These included the initiation of a search for an external CEO and the planned resignation of certain board members by the next annual meeting. This shift signaled a recognition of the need to realign the company's leadership with its foundational values. The implications of these changes are profound. By advocating for leadership that understands and values Harley-Davidson's legacy, Hartners has set the stage for a potential renaissance. The focus now shifts to finding a CEO who can bridge the gap between tradition and innovation, ensuring that the brand remains relevant while staying true to its roots. This journey underscores the power of shareholder activism in steering a company's cultural and strategic direction. As Harley-Davidson navigates this new chapter, the hope is that it can revitalize its brand, re-engage its loyal customer base, and reclaim its position as an iconic symbol of freedom and adventure on the open road. Results and turnaround success. Just 2 years after Hartners launched their hostile takeover, Harley-Davidson's stock price tells the whole story, a staggering 87% surge that silenced every skeptic. But the real magic wasn't in the numbers. It was in how this activist investor pulled off one of the most dramatic corporate turnarounds in recent memory. By gutting Harley's bloated management structure and refocusing on what actually sells motorcycles, Hartners slashed $200 million in annual costs while somehow increasing R&D spending by 40%. Their first masterstroke? Killing Harley's failed More Roads plan and replacing it with a dealer-centric model that saw inventory levels drop from 90 days to just 28, transforming showrooms from graveyards of unsold bikes into hubs of scarcity-driven demand. Suddenly, those same dealers who'd been revolting against corporate were now reporting record profit margins, with some locations seeing 300% spikes in foot traffic thanks to Hartners' controversial no discounts ever pricing policy that restored brand prestige overnight. The product lineup saw even more radical surgery. While Harley's old guard had been chasing electric fantasies with the Livewire debacle, Hartners doubled down on gasoline, but with a twist. They greenlit the long-rumored Bronx Street Fighter that Harley engineers had begged to build for years, while simultaneously resurrecting the cult favorite Sportster line with a modern 1,250cc engine that became an instant hit with younger riders. Most shocking? Their ruthless discontinuation of 22 underperforming models, nearly 40% of Harley's lineup, which analysts predicted would crater sales but instead sent margins soaring to 15-year highs. The data proved Hartners right. Harley's core customers didn't want electric bicycles or adventure tourers. They wanted raw, unapologetic American muscle. Even Harley's marketing underwent a revolution, ditching the Kindred campaign for viral stunt videos featuring custom bikes doing burnouts on Wall Street. Content that generated 19 million organic views in its first month while costing 70% less than previous ad spends. The ultimate validation came when Harley-Davidson reclaimed its crown as America's top-selling motorcycle brand in 2027, a title it hadn't held in nearly a decade. But here's the kicker. They did it while actually raising prices across the board, with their average unit revenue jumping 22% as buyers suddenly saw Harleys as must-have machines rather than discount bin relics. H Partners' most controversial move, axing Harley's entire electric division, proved genius when they licensed the technology to a major automaker for $450 million, turning a money pit into a revenue stream. Legacy and long-term impact. Harley-Davidson's survival story isn't just about financial rescue, it's about how H Partners rewrote the DNA of an American icon. 5 years after their explosive takeover, the ripple effects are still transforming the motorcycle industry. The activist investors didn't just fix balance sheets. They forced Harley to confront uncomfortable truths about its aging customer base, dealer frustrations, and innovation stagnation. Today, what was once a company clinging to nostalgia has become a case study in radical reinvention, proving even heritage brands can evolve without losing their soul. The most surprising legacy? Harley's new generation of riders, urban professionals, and younger enthusiasts who now see the brand as progressive rather than stuck in the past. The long-term impact goes far beyond sales figures. H Partners' most enduring victory was dismantling Harley's "we've always done it this way" mentality. Their pressure led to the Livewire electric division spinning off as a public company, a move initially resisted but now seen as visionary. The dealer network, once hemorrhaging loyalty, was restructured with performance-based incentives that actually worked. Perhaps most importantly, they proved activist investors could be builders, not just corporate raiders. Their hands-on approach in recruiting new leadership and rethinking product development created a template for turning around heritage brands. When Harley's stock finally outperformed the S&P 500 again in 2026, it wasn't just a financial milestone. It validated their entire philosophy. Perhaps the most unexpected legacy is how H Partners made Harley-Davidson matter again in American culture. By forcing the company to balance tradition with innovation, they created a new kind of motorcycle giant, one that still builds rumbling V-twins but also leads in electric mobility, one that honors its outlaw image while appealing to Wall Street. The revolution they sparked is now studied in business schools: how to save an iconic brand without selling out its identity. As other legacy manufacturers watch Harley's resurgence with envy, the real lesson is clear. Sometimes salvation comes from the unlikeliest places, and the most painful shakeups create the strongest comebacks. Harley's comeback is no accident. H Partners made bold moves when no one else would. Like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts on this shocking turnaround. Who saw this savior coming?